Good morning, everybody, and welcome back to Coffee with Craig, where we talk about all things firearms, policy, politics, culture, media, you name it. We're talking about it right here on Coffee with Craig. So please take a moment, like and share the program so that your friends can join in the conversation. Also, please remember to subscribe to our YouTube channel and follow us on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. And in the case of Facebook and YouTube, please make sure you hit the notification button. That way you can get notifications as soon as the program goes live, and you can participate in the live chat as the program is going on. It's actually very, very cool. Anyway, folks, also want to remind you, FPCgear.com is open, is the place to go to get all of your Pro 2A swag. We're talking T-shirts, we're talking tank tops, we're talking hoodies, all sorts of goodies for yourself or your significant other. Folks, it's all there. And the best part about it all is that every dollar that you spend goes right back into the fight for our right to keep and bear arms. So you can support the Second Amendment and you can look good doing it. That's FPCgear.com. Now, one of our motto here at FPC is all rights all the time. We believe that it's not just about the Second Amendment, but it's about all of our fundamental rights. We primarily focus on the Second Amendment because guess what? It's the one that defends all the others. It's the one civil right that defends all the others. But one of the things that we're starting to see happen now is that as politicians have gone more and more and showed more and more disrespect to the Second Amendment, they feel like they can do the exact same to the other rights. And that includes, by the way, the First Amendment, the right to free speech. Recently, attorneys general from across the country actually wrote a letter. And they wrote this letter to Facebook, in essence, encouraging them to infringe on the free speech rights of Americans. It was a disgusting letter, at least in my opinion. It was a disgusting letter that pretty much was telling Facebook that you need to limit the rights of those who utilize your platform. And these were from attorneys general all across the country. And it was, once again, these are supposed to be. These are people who take an oath of office, right? In their oath of office, they swear to uphold the Constitution. And here they are doing the exact opposite and going after our fundamental rights. One of those was the Attorney General for the state of California, kind of taking the lead in it, Javier Becerra. Now, let's go through real quick some of the things that Mr. Becerra has had to say on this particular topic. He says, when Facebook profits off of hate, it is letting its platform to be used to dehumanize and demean, said Attorney General Javier Becerra. The spread of hate and disinformation on social media puts our democracy and decades of advocacy work by Black Americans, Latinos, the LGBTQ community, people with disabilities, and many others at risk. If Facebook truly wants to be a place that brings people together, it must do more. Mark Zuckerberg must do more. Now, what does that mean? What does he mean with the whole must do more? Well, folks, let's be clear, and you guys need to understand this. Facebook already restricts our speech. They have algorithms that are written to seek out specific words and phrases that are used by liberty-minded people. And when you use those phrases, whether it's in live feeds or videos, or whether it's in your posts, those posts and those videos then get flagged. And so you wind up with situations where things like videos getting deboosted or getting throttled so that some people can't view them. In the introduction, you notice I say make sure to hit the like and share button. That's because what happens is that if you haven't not like and share, but if you haven't hit the notification button, what happens is that our videos actually get flagged. And you may or may not, just because it used to be when you just liked our page, you'd get a notification whenever a video went live. Well, now that's not necessarily the case because they've throttled the work that we're doing. Now, you guys who've watched the show for any period of time, with the exception of the occasional, curse word, we don't discuss anything that is not family friendly on this program. We just don't. Right? We talk about guns. We talk about guns all the time. We talk about gun policy all the time. We call out politicians all the time, and we review policy. But because our positions are not like-minded with theirs, because I wear things like the Gadsden flag and say "Don't tread on me," all of a sudden we already get flagged by Facebook. So I don't want you to believe that Facebook is innocent in this, even though they want you to believe that they don't do anything, that they don't they want you to believe that they don't censor speech. Trust me, they do. All right. But that's what Javier Becerra is talking about when we talked about them. But now the worst part is that Javier Becerra wants them to do even more. Let's get back to what he had to say. We urge Facebook to take affirmative steps to join us in the fight to better tackle hate in our society and hate and disinformation in our democracy. It will take all of us working together to make a difference. All right, so and I want you to keep in mind that these are individuals who they don't question people with whom they agree, right? They absolutely, positively do not question anything that they have to say. The only people they really come after are people who are liberty-minded or right of center. If you are right of center and your speech is right of center, if you are talking about liberty, you are the individuals that they're coming after. Now, in the letter, they also outlined some specific things that they wanted them to do. So let's go over some of the things that that these attorneys general are asking them to do. Aggressively enforce Facebook policies against hate speech and organized hate organizations. My question here is, who determines what is hate? Are we going to allow the Southern Poverty Law Center to determine exactly what is hate? This is an entity that takes, once again, any group that is right of center, they call them a hate group. Are we going to allow them to use organizations like PolitiFact or FactCheck.org or Snopes and use them as fact checkers? Or use them as determiners? Well, we've already done a number of videos about those organizations and how they flat out lie. I mean, they call things facts that are not facts. They verify things that are not facts. They verify them as facts, and they don't really do a lot in the area of fact checking. So, anyway, that's them. So, who determines exactly what is hate speech? They also want to, let's see here, get over to there, allow public third-party audits of hate content and enforcement. This goes, once again, back to those groups. They want entities that claim to be third parties. Well, let me clarify. They claim to be objective, but they're not objective. They are, in fact, entities that have an agenda, and they want them to be able to police what is truth and what is not truth. Commit to an ongoing independent analysis of Facebook's content, population scheme, and the prompt development of best practices guidance. This continues to go back to the very same thing. Let's make sure that you allow us to tell you, or allow us to appoint an organization that will tell you how to conduct your business and what is free speech and what is not free speech. Because keep in mind, folks, this is the thing that's important to understand. Businesses in and of themselves, in general, are, they're allowed to control their own platform. In the case of social media or internet companies, it's important to understand a couple of things. Number one is they have become de facto the town square these days. That is where the public goes, where we go, and we now have discourse. So it's a little bit more than just a company. It is now the new town square. Now, these companies also get special protections. They get protections from lawsuits because they say, well, we can't control what people post on our platform. So if they post something, you can't come after us and sue us for libel or anything like that, because we don't control what goes there. But when you start controlling what content does and does not get seen, when you start censoring people which, by the way, we've already talked about, they already do, and now you have the government encouraging them to do even more of it, well, then they should lose those protections. They should lose those. People should be able to go after them if they are now going to be the arbiters or the determiners of exactly what content is going to be on their platform. If they're going to do it, then they're in control of the content. They ought to be held liable. Just my 2 cents. Expand policies limiting inflammatory advertisements that vilify minority groups, like gun owners. Are we going to do that? Are we going to go after them for going after gun owners? No, I don't think they're going to do that. But and I don't think that's their intent either. They're not really intending for them to do that. They just want to make it so that you can't do advertisements that that tell the truth. Okay, moving right along. Strengthen filtering, reporting, and blocking tools. Now, you guys already know how easy it is to. In essence, a lot of times, if your stuff is getting blocked, it's either because certain things popped up in the algorithm, but most likely it's because some snowflake reported you. They want to make it easier for them to be able to do that. And I take issue with some of this in particular because I think this is part of the problem. It's the reason why we've become so divisive. It's the reason why we'll be talking about stuff and other people who don't necessarily agree with us will have no idea. And that's because the algorithms that are created by these social media companies filter that stuff out. It only feeds you stuff that you agree with. So because that's the case, when someone says something that you disagree with, it may be supported by data and facts. There may be articles, there may be stuff out there that supports it, but you've never heard it because Facebook is already filtering that content out. You never see it. There's a reason why I go out of my way, and I go out of my way to read left-wing anti-gun media and watch and pay attention to it, because following the media is a big part of what I do for a living. And I also want to know what they're saying. If I don't know what they're saying, then I don't know if they're lying or if they're not. Chances are they are, but I don't know, and I don't know how to combat the things that they're saying if I don't even know what they're saying. So that's the reason why I do it. And partially I do it so you don't have to. But you have to. Trust me. You should do it too. Don't just take my word for it. But they want to make that even stronger, to make it so that there's no way you can get opposing viewpoints in your feed. That's what they want to do. Now, keep in mind, and many of these attorney generals are in areas where there are massive shootings. I mean, folks, let's just be real. The attorney general in most states is the top cop. They are the chief law enforcement officer wherever they are, right? They're the ones that are supposed to be making sure that you and I are safe. Not just protecting our constitutional rights, but actually protecting us. Making sure that law and order rests and reigns. And instead of focusing on going after speech, instead of fighting to take away the rights of individuals, they need to be fighting to protect the rights of people. In fact, they need to be fighting to protect people. So how about, the AG in Michigan and in Detroit and in California and in New York and in New Jersey, where violent crime is going through the roof, where crime itself is going through the roofs, where looting and rioting is happening on a nightly basis. How about you focus on that? Deal with that. Do that. Right? Rather than trying to take away the fundamental rights of individuals. Folks, this is not 1984. All right? This is 2020. Right? And in 2020, we need to be fighting for our fundamentals. I never thought a time would come in my lifetime where I would honestly have to say that our fundamental rights, we have to fight now for our fundamental rights to be protected, where our fundamental rights are actually in danger, right? They already know that, well, the Second Amendment is They already know they can come after our fundamental right to keep and bear arms. And I told you guys that if we don't stand up, if we don't fight for that right, that the others will be subject. And I'm telling you right now, that's exactly what's happening when it comes to the First Amendment. We already know that when it comes to wanting to stand up for your Second Amendment rights, we already know that your First Amendment is in danger, right? We already know that you can't wear certain T-shirts to school. We already know that you can't advertise certain firearms certain places, right? We already know that they consider any talk about guns to be hate speech, right? Or that even buying a gun can be a red flag for you to lose your fundamental rights. We already know that's what they think about our rights. And Big Brother government thinks they know better than we do. And the worst part is that there's some schmucks out there who are more than willing, some idiots out there who are more than willing to hand over their free will to the government. Tell the government, please protect us from our thoughts. We can't be trusted to think on our own. We can't be trusted to speak on our own. You know, one of the worst things about social media these days, and one of the best things, is that it's given everyone a voice. Not everyone uses that voice responsibly. I get it. But guess what? We have laws in place so that when an individual misuses those fundamental rights and abuses those fundamental rights and it causes harm to others, we have criminal and we have civil penalties. We have things in place to hold them accountable. And folks, taking away our fundamental rights is not amongst them. Taking those rights away out of concern that someone might violate those rights is not appropriate, and it shall not stand. And I hope that you'll stand with us as we stand against this sort of government tyranny. Anyway, folks, that's going to be it for today's Coffee with Craig. We very much appreciate you guys tuning in. We appreciate you liking and sharing the program. Telling your friends about the Firearms Policy Coalition. We are the home in the fight for civil rights. Got to use them, or you're going to lose them. You guys take care.
If you like our videos, follow, subscribe, like, and share.